Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrina. I come to you from the Pacific Northwest where I live with my partner, our 2 kitties, and 2 adopted Mustangs. Information about the Wild Horse Adoption Program will be in the episode description box. This podcast covers knitting projects, my horsemanship journey, and my other passions like vegetable gardening and bicycling. If you're new here, I hope you find the content interesting. If you're a returning viewer, it's always great to have old friends. The format of this channel typically includes musings on an early walk to the barn to feed the horses, then knitting content, some catch up on the horsemanship journey, and finally more musings or maybe a little bicycling footage if I was lucky enough to get out. Enjoy, and I hope to see you soon. Well, good morning, YouTube friends. As you can see, I'm still wearing a sling. If you don't know about my shoulder injury, feel free to go back a couple episodes where I described what happened in great detail. If you hadn't heard about it, I will say that it was horse-related only in the sense that I was out in the yard feeding when it happened. My horses weren't anywhere near me, and they certainly weren't the cause of this. It's been very cold, except for today. It warmed up and rained last night. So I've been bringing the horses mash up to the house here, so they each have their little individual servings. Anyway, if you're new here, welcome, and I hope you find content you enjoy. We always start this with a walk out to the barn, or usually I do. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for continuing to support this channel. I really appreciate your support, and as one of my very kind and generous viewers said, it's like catching up with old friends, and I kind of feel that way. So today is Friday, January 31st, 2025. It is about 7 o'clock in the morning, so just now getting light. You may not be able to see that because I have noticed that when I review footage, it often looks very dark, but no worries, I can see. So I'm going to switch hands because I'm carrying a bucket with my injured arm, which doesn't make a lot of sense, and the camera with my uninjured arm. I will report that when I injured myself, I had also pulled my hamstring significantly. But it is a lot better. I have had 2 physical therapy sessions, and it is improving rapidly. I've been very diligent about doing those exercises. So, what do I have in store? Well, Bragi, my younger Mustang, is hopefully going to have a trailer loading lesson today. We'll see how my trainer feels. She has been having to do everything because I can't take any chances of leading a horse, especially a young one like Bragi, with this injured arm and or injured shoulder. So it's good for Bragi to have that kind of handling, and I hope she is still willing to continue to do these training sessions It is raining right now. Hopefully it won't rain much harder. Well, I can see O. I don't know if you'll be able to see him. I can see him because he's gray. And Bragi's right in front of him. He's the dark blob right in front of him. Odin and I have been doing a little bit of round pen work with Just at Liberty. Me just pointing him towards different obstacles and asking him to touch them or go around them. So that's been a little fun for us. Knitting wise, I have, I guess, 3 works in progress. I thought I was going to have a finished object for you, but I'm not happy with it. But I'll talk about that then. So, on that note, I'm in the barn. Gonna get a load of hay, I think on Monday. So, you can see I have 3 bales left of the Timothy, and then I have some local hay. The tarp is to be a vapor barrier, because I'm finding that with all the moisture coming up, that the outside edges of the hay gets moldy, and Odin is very sensitive to that. So that's what that's all about. So I'm going to get to feeding. Hi YouTube friends, welcome to the knitting portion of my podcast. I just wanted to talk about some knitting and the lesson that Bragi just had. So I hope you have something nice to drink. I have a cup of herb tea back here and maybe a project to work on. It's raining, so it's warmed up quite a bit from the temperatures, the very cold temperatures that we were having. So it's kind of a nice break because it was dry for quite a long time, and I'm, frankly, from the Pacific Northwest, I'm just really not used to that. So, but let's get into the knitting. So what am I wearing? I am wearing what I am calling the Corrina cap. It is sort of styled after the Musselburgh hat recipe. I do not have that pattern, but I thought it would be simple enough just to create a hat out of a fingering weight pattern that I have, and just double the length so I could fold it inside of each other. So the yarn is a Freckled Whimsey. This was the 2024 Advent self-striping, Merry and Bright, and then the contrast color was a Barocco 100% wool that I had, and inside it's very much the same. I always wear it the same way though. So I was outside with Bragi, so it's kind of wet, but probably the best thing for it to do is dry on my head. I used, I believe, 2.75 millimeter needles. They were double pointed. Here's Herbert. Yes, hi Herbert. Double pointed needles, the Addie's Flexi Flips. I did end up with ladders, which I don't normally have a problem with when I knit magic loops, so that was a bit of a surprise. I did get a set of Chowgu red lace in that same size in the circular, so that I can avoid laddering, I hope. I was hoping to have a finished object for you, but I decided I'm not ready to be finished with it yet. So my owl poncho, and I will try this on for you. So there's a couple things I'm not fond of. One, oops, I gotta take off my glasses too. One is that the Colorwork section is pretty snug. So, and it doesn't really fit that well around my shoulders, and it's too short. So it almost looks like a tree skirt. This was a commercial yarn. It's patent worsted. This is a local yarn produced by a local sheep farmer who produces lamb for meat, and then also has dairy sheep for making cheese. So very local. I do have another skein of yarn from her. So it's Harmony Fields. It's milled at Skagit Valley Yarns, which is just north of me. And the color of this skein is slightly darker, but I think it'll look nice together. So I'm planning on continuing this and maybe decreasing so it's kind of more of a bell shape. So I'll have to think about that. And it's already bound off, so I don't know. I used an Icelandic bind off, and I don't know if I can get close enough to the camera with my little T-Rex arm in the sling. But it's kind of an interesting bind off that I've never tried before. I'm not sure I love it. Part of it is because it rolls. So I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is maybe do like 5 rows of garter stitch, because that tends to lay flat. So that's my plans. I'll keep you posted on that. And I think I'm just going to have to block the bejeebers out of this. It's blocked, but it's not blocked enough. So I don't know whether I'll hang it over like the ends of a hanger, or I have a kitchen stool over there that I'm kind of eyeballing. That might be a nice place, although I would have to put that in a place that dear Herbert, my yarn murdering cat, although both of them like to murder yarn given the opportunity. So all that to say, I'll have to put it in a secure location. So yeah, I'm gonna have to work on the kind of the tightness of my color work, and I think part of that is due to that I tend not to carry floats very far, and I think it's important that when you need a looser gauge for color work that you don't track your floats too frequently. Like, I think even up to like 7 to 10 stitches will give you kind of a more stretchy. So we'll see how that goes. I'm very much into, if I don't like it, I'm going to frog it. Just kind of back on the subject of this cap I made. I have a couple cowls that I really like the yarn, but I don't love the cowls. They're just, you know, typical circular cowls, so I'll probably frog those and knit caps, because I don't know, one can not have too many caps as far as I'm concerned. I've been working on the, the blanket, the Coziest Memories blanket. I haven't got very far because I've been working on another project. So in the last episode, I said I'd probably share that once a month. Otherwise, it's probably not that interesting content to show progress when it's like 1.5 squares. Pardon me while I have a sip of tea. So I do want to share with you another project I'm going to frog. I think I've talked about this a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to frog. No, I am certain I'm going to frog this this cowl. It's the Flock of Flamingos cowl by Tellybean Knits. So I was just in the flamingo part of the section, but I just don't like the way the colors are coming together. So I'm going to frog it and perhaps make a another Corrina cap out of at least this gray yarn, which I believe is I think it's Lolo did it, Hooray for Hippos, part of her Hooray for Hippos line. That yarn was given to me. So, and then the rest of the yarn. One of the things I plan on doing this weekend, since my arm doesn't really allow me to do very much of my normal activities like skiing and bicycling and stuff like that, is like I was inspired by a recent episode by Nitty Natty, where she organized her yarn in several different categories, and I think I'm going to spend some time thinking about what categories I want to put my yarn in, and I have some boxes and some bins upstairs where the major part of my yarn stash is, and I may do that this weekend. So the reason why I have not been working on my Coziest Memories blanket, by the way, that is a free pattern by Kemper Ray, is that I have been working on, this is a canvas bag given to me by a graduate student friend. I went to graduate school, it's been 20 years. I went to graduate school at UCLA, actually. But this is a kind of a solar radiation sensitive bag, and it's certainly not doing anything because it's pretty dark and gray outside, but it, like, if it's in the car and the sun's shining through, that image on the front will turn bright pink. I've had this for a long time. This handle's tied in a knot because after graduate school I got a puppy, a cute little hound mix puppy who chewed on it. So, and that dog has long since passed. She passed away in 2020. And she was almost 15 years old at that stage. So good long life, but I do miss her. And I just, sometimes little memories like this, when I see this knot, just brings me a little happiness. So this is a brioche sweater that I had cast on the day of my unfortunate incident with where I injured my shoulder. So I don't know if you can see that. You can see the blue stripe. So if you're not familiar with brioche knitting, you knit the same row twice, and it's a main color. Sometimes when you're using two color brioche, does that make sense? Two color brioche pattern that you're following, there's a main color and a contrast color. And on the right side, you use the main color, and then you kind of knit when you knit back and forth, at least like a purl stitch. And brioche is reversible. It's a little bit intimidating, but there's some great YouTube videos out there that demonstrate how to do it. And this pattern also has instructions in the link. It's Briocherie by, I think, Kate Oates is the name of the pattern. It's a paid for pattern. But the blue stripe means that when I was supposed to be using the main color, I actually used the contrast color. So, custom design feature. This side, this is the wrong side, and I actually think it's kind of prettier. So this is where there's more of the contrast colors. So that blue is showing up. The main color is, I think this is a Cascade Heritage yarn. And then I honestly don't remember what this, oh, well, looky here. I think I have a label and everything. Oh, this is a Cascade Yarns. So this is a variegated skein, and it's a sport weight. And then I might have a tag. Wouldn't that be something if I had a tag of this kind of rust colored yarn. This yarn is frogged from another project where I tried a Colorwork sweater. And it is also Cascade Yarns. It's the same. It's Cascade 220 Sport weight. Where I was trying to use this in a Colorwork, but there was just not enough contrast between the two because the variegated yarn has that kind of rust color in it. So, but it works great for brioche as long as you keep track which one's your main color and which one's not. Oh, I also want to share with you this very special needle stopper. I'm having a hard time holding it with my little hand, but I hope you can see this. So one of my viewers, one of my very kind and generous viewers, after I talked about my injuring myself on this podcast, she sent me a message through Instagram and asked if I would, that she'd like to make a care package for me. So I sent her my address, and she made up just a very thoughtful, very carefully curated care package. I just got it yesterday afternoon, and it just lifted my spirit so much. Just in that, part of it is that, we can build bridges and we can create caring community, even if we don't live near each other. So this person has her own podcast. It's My Wool Mitten. I'm happy to share that. So thank you, Carrie. That was just such a very thoughtful gift. I really appreciate it. And I plan to sit down and write you a thank you card this weekend. So hopefully you'll be able to get that sometime next week. I want to say, well, before I forget, I just wanted to, before I leave the knitting part behind, I just want to talk about gauge swatch. So I did not swatch this. However, I measured gauge when I got this far. And then I used and my gauge was not, did not match the pattern gauge. So I used a gauge converter. I found a website, and I'll put that in the description box below. If you have trouble with gauge and would like to have a better estimate of what your stitch count should be, it's a pretty easy converter. The website author describes it step by step, and I just found it really easy to do. So I just figured out what stitches I need and for the size that I'm making, and so hopefully that will help. So I tend not to measure gauge because, well, I have done gauge swatches before and then still have had my item come out, my garment come out just not working out. So, but then on the other hand, sometimes it's nice to know. So, just back to the conversation about building community. Yeah, and I'm just curious what your thoughts are about building community. I know there is a Ravelry. Ravelry offers that support. I don't particularly find Ravelry that user friendly, but if anyone here, I know my number of subscribers are small but mighty, and just very kind and generous, because I got a note from another viewer that was also very kind and thoughtful. So if there's like a way that you would like to interact and create community, whether it's a Ravelry group that I can form, frankly, I have the time to do it right now because I can't go outside and run and jump and play. So I'm happy to do that. So just please let me know if that's something that you're interested in. And I will work on that. So that's going to be the end of the knitting segment for now. I am probably going to spend some time frogging that cowl. I was going to do it this morning when I went to the dentist, but honestly, I was just sitting down in the waiting room and the dental assistant came out and got me, so I had no opportunity to do that. Okay, this is really the end of the knitting portion. I am going to just talk a little bit about Bragi's trailer training. So, again, we're just really taking our time with Bragi, making sure that he's comfortable. I'm in no rush, especially now. He's a very sensitive horse, and I wouldn't exactly call him unpredictable, but he needs things explained to him. Every step of every process, he needs that to be very clear. And sometimes when we humans are getting from point A to point B, we just go there. Okay, in order for that thing to happen, all these steps need to be taken, and we don't even delineate the steps at all. Well, Bragi needs things seriously, first I'm gonna do this, and then you do that. So I'm just trying to think of an example. I mean, maybe make a sandwich. So it's okay, in order to make a sandwich, I need bread, I need some kind of filling, I need some kind of condiment, and probably a butter knife of some description, and maybe a spoon, if depending on what the filling of my sandwich is going to be. I'm going to use egg salad, for instance, which is actually, now that I think about it, is a fairly complex sandwich. So I'm just going to go through the first part of it. Let's just get the bread. Okay, so in order to get the bread, we have to first walk into the kitchen. So we're going to take 10 steps to the kitchen, and we are going to turn left, maybe 4 steps, and then get the bread bag. So I'm not going to belabor this, but that is really the sequence for Bragi of getting in the trailer. It's like, okay, in order for us to eventually go someplace and do things, what you need to do, Bragi, is that you need to put your front feet in the trailer. You need to put maybe your front feet and one hind foot in the trailer. And then he's at the point where he's really all the way in the trailer. He does not like the divider closed. So that is one thing that we are working on, and just helping him get comfortable with the idea of being in that enclosed space. And my trainer's doing a great job with that. I mean, like I said, I am really in no hurry. I don't know if I am going to have him as a riding horse. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and certainly the shoulder injury that happened during an ordinary day when I was doing ordinary chores has left me feeling a little bit vulnerable. So I'm looking forward to getting on my other horse, Odin, who's extremely reliable, and I feel like once my hamstring heals, I can probably ride him even if I'm in a sling, although that's probably not wise. So I have plenty of time to think about it. So that's just an update on Bragi's training. I've just been doing a little bit of round pen work with Odin because he can do it at liberty. I don't have to put a halter on him, which I can't do anyway because I can't lift up this arm. I've just asked him to do a pattern of like walk over these poles on the outside of the round pen, walk around the blue ball, and then go to the middle and target your cone. Well, he's funny. He's like, well, why do I have to do all these things when I can just go target the cone? So we've had that discussion yesterday, which I thought was kind of funny. Always trying to do it the easiest way possible, and I frankly don't blame him. So that's all I have. Please give me your thoughts on, if there's community that you would like to participate in, or if there's any way that, we can, build bridges and build community and be kind. Please let me know. So in the meantime, have fun knitting and take care.